broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, it's Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, September 19th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. It's been a long week. That's for sure. What do we have today on this Friday? We have, I guess I'm a Democrat now because I want the government shut down. Oh, no, never mind. I want to shut down if Republicans are in power or Democrats, so it don't really matter. I want the government shut down just in general. But the continuing resolution to keep the fraud crime syndicate known as the federal government running is passed the House of Representatives. So the government may stay open, but it goes now to the Senate. Today is Prisoners of War and Missing in Action Recognition Day. It is very sad that we do have U.S. soldiers out there still around the world being held as prisoners of war and still missing in action, most likely dead, but their families will never know. And this always reminds me, I don't know if you can even find it on the internet now because they've done so much censorship, about this group of prisoner of war families going to see John McCain when he was a senator and begging him to help find their missing U.S. soldiers that are missing in action or held as prisoners of war. And the families were in there begging John McCain, use your power as a senator, do something. And he literally told them F off to their face. There was video of one time of it on the internet. And I was just like, wow, okay, now we know. And of course, they went to John McCain because supposedly he's this great war hero, prisoner of war, all this nonsense backstory that they gave us about him. And turns out, even if any of that was true, he didn't give a damn about the families or the soldiers that were at that time currently missing in action or prisoners of war. So always remember that about old John McCain. What do we got here? The White House propaganda says majority of voters see deployment of National Guard in D.C. as success. So see, America loves martial law, according to propaganda out of the White House, as the National Guard is preparing to go into Memphis, Tennessee. And we have the governor of Tennessee crying about it. A video of that. It's just like, resign, fool. You're a complete failure. But that won't happen. What do we got? Just more government propaganda here. We'll play all that for you. It appears Trump has monetized U.S. citizenship, launching Trumpcard.gov, the gold card. We'll go over that. It's like, what do you even say at this point, man? And still falling well short of mass immigration promises that were made to voters. Trump administration looking to target transgender individuals and potentially label all transgenders as violent extremists. And how does it go? I didn't speak out for the transgenders because I still had a penis, right? Well, they're going to get that small group first. It's the same in every totalitarian, despotic regime ever. They target that very small group and then expand their way out until there was no one left to stand up for you because they didn't have a penis. Something like this, right? Trump asked the Supreme Court to allow him to enforce transgender and non-binary passport policy, as the official narrative is a transgender furry lover shot Charlie Kirk, right? So, and I'm not saying that they don't got a lot of problems, but again, throughout history, this is how it starts, is going after that very small group that the majority are going to look the other way. They're freak transgender anyway. You know what I mean? And so who cares if they're labeled terrorists? And they're on all these hormones, psych meds. They're all jacked up, right? But then, hey, all the transgenders disappear. And then next, it's me and you. But And then there will be no transgenders to stand up for us because they've all been taken away to the FEMA camps. But that could never happen here in America, right? It's already happened. They put Japanese American citizens in internment camps during World War II. Nobody wants to talk about it. We should never stop talking about it because it's already happened here. We got economic news. They're trying to prop up the Ponzi scheme known as Social Security, talking about the White House is floating the idea of raising the age, something to keep that fraud going. We'll go over some of those reports. And once again, talk about tone deaf. He's not tone deaf. He knows, and he's literally mocking us and demoralizing us. And it's a humiliation ritual. But once again, today, Trump says he's very proud of Operation Warp Speed. We have that video. Basically, he says he saved the world. The whole world opened up due to what he did with his miracles. And as we know, it was a military operation from the jump. So, oh man, oh man. Other public health news we'll get to. We got Big Brother, Technocracy news out of the UK and out of Albania, of all places. Very bizarre happenings there in Albania. Albania Parliament launched Diala, an AI, the first ever AI to speak to their parliament, a virtual bot. Very bizarre. So we'll cover that. A couple geopolitical stories to get to. Of course, the big UN General Assembly meeting is going to happen next week. We'll cover that. We got this rabbi. We got this rabbi here saying that Zionism is criminal, evil, and satanic. I don't know. He's saying it, not me. I'm sure we'll get flagged some kind of way for it. But anyway, we had to put that in the title. We'll go over the latest to chime in on recognizing Palestinian state at the UN, officially announced. A few more there out of Europe, and then a couple rejecting it. And U.S. Senate has put forth a resolution to recognize Palestinian statehood. As the genocide there continues by the aardvarks. So nothing there has changed. What they're saying, almost 500,000, 400, there's different reports like 460,000, 480,000, about half, I guess, maybe a little less of Palestinians are looking to flee Gaza City or be terminated. But I guess they'll probably be terminated either way. They're bombing the hell out of Yemen. They're bombing Lebanon. They're bombing Gaza. And it doesn't stop. Amidst the world coming to the realization aardvarks are indeed committing genocide in Gaza, U.S. is, the White House, Trump administration is pushing Congress to sign off on another $6 billion arms package to the aardvarks. So talk about complicit in genocide. And Trump is citing, I saw it multiple times here now. Yesterday with Stallmer, he cited the fake Hamas's beheading baby story, and that's been thoroughly debunked a long time ago. He said that again today. And so I guess that's just what Trump is going to go with now. Outright debunked lies. Who cares? Don't be a Hamas. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at here. And we got more from this rabbi that has been, that called him out, laying it out. I guess he's antiseptic too and should be sanctioned and droned. And then they'll scream, you're antiseptic for saying, hey, that guy was making some good points. Why'd you drone him? You know what I mean? That's where we're at. That's where we're at here, man. Insanity of evil being rammed down our throat, and never-ending psyops, propaganda, and lies coming out of the government. Make no mistake about that. And I see, I don't know, are they bots, real people? I don't know. All these posts. Oh, we can't wait for JD Vance 2028. Oh, so you're fully signed on to Technocracy there. Good job. Very conservative of you. And with that, let's get to this day in history. On this day of September 19th, going back to the year 1676, rebels under Nathaniel Bacon set Jamestown, Virginia on fire. That wasn't very nice. In 1778, on this day, the Continental Congress passes the first budget of the United States. Isn't that coincidental that today we can't pass a budget, but we kick the debt can down the road with these continuing resolutions? In 1796, on this day, George Washington's final address to the U.S. As U.S. president is published. In 1849, on this day, we saw the first commercial laundry established in Oakland, California. In 1862, on this day, we saw the Battle of Iuka, Mississippi, 17,000 casualties there. And then 2 years later, in 1864, Third Battle of Westshire, Virginia, large bloody battle with the Union Army defeating Confederate forces with over 9,000 casualties. Quite horrific there in the U.S. Civil War. In the year 1893, for women's rights there in New Zealand, New Zealand becomes the first country to grant women the right to vote. 1893, on this day. In 1941, the German army conquers Kiev, Ukraine, that is. And then also in 1941, Nazis force German aardvarks 6 years and older to wear the star, the yellow star there. On this day in 1974, the KGB began a large-scale operation to discredit Russian novelist Alexander Solzhenitsyn and cut his communications with Soviet dissidents. And remember his old saying that still stands true today. I should have pulled it up here in the pre-production, but we know they're lying. Let me pull up the exact quote here so we could read it to you on the air. It's a classic. Here you go. All-time classic from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I don't know why the KGB was so upset. He's telling the truth. We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know we know they are lying. We know they know we know they are lying, but they're still lying. Huh. Talking about the Soviets, but it could It's across the board, all government. It applies to all government. Moving forward to 1985 on this day in history. And coincidentally enough, we'll get to later on this same day. But in 1985, a magnitude 8 earthquake rocks Mexico City, killing an estimated 10,000 people and leaving another estimated 250,000 people homeless. So that was quite a devastating earthquake in Mexico City in 1985 on this day. In 1986 on this day, U.S. federal health officials announced the first antiviral medication, AZT, to prevent and treat HIV/AIDS will become available to patients. And it turns out that was much worse than the actual HIV. Yeah, but who cares? Fauci signed off on it. It's the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? And then fast forward here a little bit more. 1994, 3,000 U.S. militia land on Haiti on this day. 1995 on this day, the Washington Post and New York Times published the Unabomber's Manifesto. Many say that the Unabomber was not off. Of course, we don't advocate sending mail bombs to people. That's quite horrific, and randomly hitting people at that. But much of what he was saying, and side note, he was also a victim of MK Ultra mind control experimentation. But side note, a lot about what he was saying has turned out to be pretty accurate, regardless if he was mail bombing people or not, which obviously he should not have done. In 2022 on this day, coincidentally enough, a 7.6 earthquake strikes Mexico on the anniversary of the previous two tremors in 1984 and 2017, killing at least 2 people. So 2 is tragic, right? And what was it? 10,000 is a statistic, and 250,000 left homeless due to the earthquake. Who cares, right? Yep, that's where we're at. All right. And then on this day in our civil liberties history, we had, the all-time, in 1951 on this day, all-time namer of names, Martin Berkeley, he names 150 plus to the Un-American Activities Committee in 1951 as part of its investigation of communism in Hollywood. So he named quite a few alleged commies there out of Hollywood. So, yeah. And then fast forward to in 1985, on this day, there was a big censorship campaign, of course, for the to protect the youth of America. It's for the children, as always, organized by Tipper Gore, known occultist. But besides all that, moral authority of America. On this day, avant-garde rock musician Frank Zappa appeared at U.S. Senate hearings, testifying against proposals to label albums because of allegedly indecent lyrics. The hearings were promoted by the Parents Music Resource Center, organized by Tipper Gore, wife of then Vice President Al Gore, who saved everyone's life from climate change. Side note, and which advocated labeling rock music albums that contain sexual references and restricting the sale of such records to minors. Yeah, maybe it's not a bad idea. But then it's always a slippery slope, and they censor everything. And who the hell is Tipper Gore and the Senate to act like they're moral authority on anything? A quick listen to popular hip-hop music and a look at music videos today certainly indicates that the effort to curb sexually oriented lyrics and images by the PMRC and other moralists completely failed. And doesn't it always create the Streisand effect? And they're like, oh, it's too bad, dirty to get you to listen to. That's the first thing people are going to go find and listen to. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? You can't legislate morality. Sorry to say, they're a control freak Satanist in the government. And with that, here's our segue to the news. And then here's this Rabbi Yasserol David Weiss, and so he's obviously anti-Septic and should be sanctioned and droned, even though he's like, take a look at this guy. But what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? They gotta do something. So
under what conditions are Palestinians living now?
They're living in hell. Basically, they've been living in hell for 77 years since the occupation. But it's not only the Palestinian Muslims, the Jewish people, the Jewish religion. We went through the Holocaust. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic.
Under what?
The Holocaust. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic.
Under
the Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic.
Under.
So what are we gonna do with this guy? I mean, he's clearly got to go, right? More on that later in the show. Now here's Trump. He loves the government. MAGA loves the government too. I want to shut down for not just like with their BS continuing resolution, all this like forever. They all need to resign and turn themselves into FEMA camps. We know that'll never happen, but that's my utopian dream.
That's the continuing resolution in the Republican House today. It was an amazing vote, actually. It showed we want to keep things going and going properly. It was good for a lot of reasons. The Republicans want to keep government open. But in the Senate, we have 53 Republicans total, and we need 60 votes. That means we need Democrat votes. I want to thank Senator John Fetterman. He wants to keep the country open. We're doing so well as a country. We're doing probably better than ever before. If you look at the stock market and other indicators, we have tremendous investment coming in, record investment coming. Everything's going well, but the Democrats aren't happy about that because they don't want it to go well. I think they actually dislike our country greatly. So they want to shut down the country. They want to have open borders. They want to stop the fighting of crime, where we've been very successful. The D.C., as you know, Washington, D.C. is it's a hot place right now. Everyone's having dinners. They're going out all over. There's very little crime. They haven't seen numbers.
It's wonderful, and there you go. Trump wants to keep the government open. F you, Trump. How you like that? Department of War is honoring today's National Prisoners of War and Missing in Action Recognition Day. Very sad. War's a racket. How about stop engaging in illegal foreign wars of aggression? And Plutonium says, I literally have to type weaponized news into search bar to pull up Sam through all the algo slop. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Again, very sad indeed. But nobody's ever left behind, we're told. Yeah, they left plenty of soldiers behind. They don't give a damn. USA, USA, USA. You're not forgotten. But again, I tell you, they are forgotten. And the families that went to John McCain's office when he was still alive and a sitting senator, he literally told them F you to their face when they're like begging them and crying, do something about our missing family members, U.S. soldiers that we don't know if they're alive or dead. You guys have deemed them prisoners of war, missing in action, and we need some kind of closure. And he's just like, F you, right to their face. And it's just like, wow, dude. That's pretty damn evil, John McCain. But I'm sure it's the same sentiment with all the rest of these pieces of trash calling themselves our representatives. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about our soldiers even. You know what I mean? And they've proven it time and time and time again. And it's just so angering. But I guess America loves martial law, according to propaganda out of the White House. Here you go. Majority of voters see deployment of National Guard in D.C. a success. Rasmussen report. So hell yeah, bring on martial law. We love it, I guess. They're really cracking down there again. Why is no one in local government in DC held responsible for this complete and utter failure of it being so bad there had to be a federal crime emergency declared? Nobody? No answers, huh? Well, they're arresting the hell out of people and seizing a lot of guns there. This is from Bobblehead Blondie there. Bondi, who loses the Epstein files every time they put them on her desk. She says there's been so far, as of today, 2,924 arrests and 276 guns seized in D.C. Make D.C. safe again. And here's this Governor Bill Lee crying, basically, about, oh my gosh, my city, Memphis, city in my state, Tennessee, is just crime ridden. You're the governor, dude. Do something. It's your responsibility ahead of the feds. But no, he's signing off to the martial law in Memphis, Tennessee, essentially. Let's listen to this loser.
I've been governor for 7 years. I'm tired of Memphis being held back by this continuous issue of crime. We've put tens of millions of dollars and deployed additional resources for law enforcement. We have worked really hard to make the situation of crime better in Memphis. But I'm tired of Memphis being held back. I'm tired of being asked by CEOs about whether or not they can make investments in this city and how bad the crime really is. I am at a place in my work and my understanding of how great a city this is and what its potential is and how much it's being held back by crime. I'm at a position to say, if I can have a resource available to me to use it, any resource available to use it, I want it. I want to utilize the National Guard. I want to utilize the Drug Enforcement Agency. I want to utilize the FBI. If this can come in and help our local police and sheriff's departments execute on the eradication of crime in Memphis, I'm going to do it.
What a bunch of bullshit. He already has every resource that you could possibly imagine as the governor of that state. But yet all those local resources have failed to the point he needs federal resources now. You're a failure, resign. He should be in a FEMA camp. Start by arresting him for corruption. I'm sure there's plenty. Join ICE now, protect our nation. And it's just a never-ending stream of propaganda out of these characters. This one, not so bad. But hey, how much did this cost? This wasn't a repurposed World War II propaganda. Okay, so there was an incident here now in Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago. Let's take a listen to this report.
Exactly right. I think these desperate politicians want their 15 minutes of fame, and they're willing to do it off the backs of our law enforcement. They're willing to do it off of the backs of the security of these brave men and women who work every day to get criminals off the streets, and even the migrants themselves. They're putting them at further risk just to get on TV, just to get a viral tweet. It's pretty despicable, but we will continue to do what we're doing, whether it be in Chicago, Los Angeles, Memphis, or New York. Our law enforcement is dedicated to enforcing the rule of law. I mean, Bill, every single day I get a report on my desk of the child pedophiles, of the rapists, of the murderers, really sick individuals who have been walking with impunity on America's streets for 4 years. And under Secretary Noem and President Trump, no more. We're not playing games. We will continue to enforce the rule of law and get these criminals off of our streets. So these politicians, while they don't lead, they can thank Secretary Noem, they can thank President Trump, and they can thank law enforcement for actually enforcing the rule of law and making America's streets.
Arrest the corrupt politicians. They won't. So there you go. You're full of shit. So an ICE officer was dragged by an illegal alien driving his car. Here's that report. This is the incident there. As they scream rule of law here, they're blowing up drug boats in the Caribbean with no due process. So pretty hypocritical there, but what the hell? We have a Trump gold card to sell you coming up next in the show.
I want to talk about Chicago. You had this illegal get stopped, I believe, by ICE officers. They're trying to get to him, and he runs the car into him, drags one of them, seriously injuring one of your officers. The illegal alien is shot and killed. And of course, Democrats are furious at ICE over this. Here's Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia. Take a listen.
We want to know everything about what occurred and for all evidence to be put forward publicly so that the public can make its own conclusions. But this was totally preventable, unnecessary, and most tragic.
What's your reaction to that?
You know, my reaction is that ICE has been transparent the whole time. No law enforcement officer gets into this position to use their firearm. The officer was in a deadly force situation. He was being drugged.
A lot of psychos do.
He had to be taken to the hospital for significant leg injuries, and he had to do what he could to save him and his partner. But to elected officials like that, what I say is people actively call for the resisting of ICE officers and ICE special agents. All they're doing is their law enforcement mission like any other law enforcement officer here in the country. Yet elected officials, kind of to your point of your last guest, calling us Nazis, ramping up the rhetoric against us, that's causing more people to resist arrest, to flee, and to think they can hurt and harm ICE agents. Assault on officers are up almost 1,000%.
Those are some bold, that's bold, they'll kill your ass. Ice Barbie says, if you lay a hand on our law enforcement, we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, or they may just kill you. ICE posts this, leave on your own terms. Avoid the jail cell, avoid humiliation. The Trump administration has a zero tolerance policy for illegal immigration, including violating the terms of a visa, illegal entry, overstaying a visa, misusing a legal status. If you're under one of these categories, it's time to self-deport. By self-deporting, you can skip the ICE arrest, get a free flight home, and receive $1,000 stipend. And so, yeah, sounds like a fun. Deport me, geez. We're getting to the point where the top ramen's running out here. Deport me, man. I'll take $1,000 stipend and a free trip home. On to, this is just, see, this makes all their efforts just look like a joke. Clown world here. As Trump is monetizing citizenship, Trump signs gold card executive order expanding H-1B visas for a fee up to $2 million and imposing a $100,000 annual sponsorship fee for regular applicants. Let's take a look at this. And then here is, so you guys know I'm not making this stuff up. It seems so outlandish, like, just like, what? Really? But you got to remember, we're dealing with Trump, and he's corrupt, and he's monetizing everything and making a mockery out of everything. And MAGA's too stupid to even see any of this. But here it is, Trumpcard.gov with the .gov, official government site. Here you go. The Trump gold card is here. Unlock life in America. Like, you would think it's a bad, dark satire comedy piece from The Onion or the Babylon Bee or whatever. No, this is real. This is 100% real. Right there, Trumpcard.gov. And there you go. You would think this is, like I say, satire. No, this is real. Extra privileges for individuals and businesses. Like, doesn't this just reek of corruption? No, it's perfectly fine. The Trump gold card for a processing fee, and after DHS vetting, $1 million contribution receive U.S. residency in record time with the Trump Gold Card. He's turned our immigration system into a racket, and we wouldn't expect anything less out of these con men grifters calling themselves American populists now, would we? Trump Platinum Card's coming. Gee, I can't wait. Sign up now and secure your place on the waiting list for the Trump Platinum Card for a processing fee, and after DHS vetting, a $5 million contribution. You will have the ability to spend up to 270 days in the United States without being subject to U.S. taxes on non-U.S. income. Oh my gosh. Can I sell my, I'll sell my citizenship right now for $5 million. And there it is. America's opportunities accelerated. Isn't it so wonderful? Your opportunity begins here with your application and a non-refundable processing fee. This is the first step to securing the Trump Gold Card. Step number 2, careful consideration. United States citizenship and immigration services facilities and facilitates an in-depth background check and process to vet the potential card holder. But you slip another million, I'm sure they'll look the other way. And number 3, approval. Once an applicant is approved, a Trump Gold Card will be available for use through all 50 states and territories. Apply now. You only have to have, I don't know, $1 million. That's just so ridiculous. Isn't it all so ridiculous? But hey, I'm holding out for the Platinum Card. Here's and of course Howard Lutnick, they're telling us how wonderful it is. Epstein's neighbor, Commerce Secretary, all around con man, fraud, scammer. We love our Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick.
So historically, the employment-based green card program let in 281,000 people a year. And those people, on average, earned $66,000 a year on average, and they were 5 times more likely to go on assistance programs of the government. So we were taking in the bottom quartile, below the average American. It was illogical. The only country in the world that was taking in the bottom quartile. So what we are doing now is we are going to stop doing that. We're going to only take extraordinary people at the very top. Instead of people trying to take the jobs from Americans, they're going to create businesses and create jobs for Americans. And this program will raise more than $100 billion for the Treasury of the United States of America.
Which we'll use for cutting taxes and paying down debt. We think it's going to be very successful. Essentially, we're having people come in, people that in many cases, I guess, are very successful or whatever, and they're coming in, they're going to spend a lot of money to come in, they're going to pay as opposed to walking over the borders, and they may come from jails, prisons, and everything else. These people don't. They're very productive people. And they're going to pay $1 million. The corporation is going to pay $2 million. And it's going to raise billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, which is going to go to reduce taxes, pay off debt, and other good things. So.
Sure, bud. It's all real. Feels like a dark satire, but it's all real. Abolish the Transportation Security Agency, the TSA. Nah, we can't do that, but they can act like they're giving you some freedom back when you travel. Here, some repurposed propaganda posters from TSA. Return to the golden age of travel. The Department of Homeland Security and TSA are returning to the golden age of travel. It's just so laughable. Families on the fly, benefits for military and uniformed service members, end to off shoes. And that was a whole fake false flag shoe bomber thing, remember? Who cares? One-stop security pilot program. More of the racketeering there. Sure, it's perfectly fine. They're keeping us safe from the terrorists that they fund, arm, train, and radicalize. So we do appreciate the efforts of this racket. Private sector solutions to enhance airport experience. And it's just, who believes this shit? I guess MAGA does. I don't know. Do they even believe it? And then here you go. FBI readies new war on trans people. We're looking at the entire spider web of transes here. The FBI director said, we're looking at the entire spider web for any of these attacks. And so we had to spy on you because that transgender furry lover shot Charlie Kirk. The Trump administration is preparing to designate transgender people as, quote, violent extremists in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. Two national security officials have told this reporter, Ken Klippenstein, on his Substack. I'm reading you this report from. So, but nobody's going to care. They're cheered on. And again, I did not speak out for the transgenders because I still had a penis, and it's gonna be that way. You'll see. Continuing here, Trump asked the Supreme Court to allow him to enforce transgender and non-binary passport policy. Trump was born into wealth and privilege, Bindi says. Why is he so obsessed with more money? Because he's addicted to it. Why is everything gold? You know what I mean? Because he's freaking crazy, man. Trump administration asked the Supreme Court today to let it enforce a passport policy for transgender and non-binary people that requires male and female sex designations based on birth certificates. Them, they, he, who, he, haw, whatever, dude. But they're going to target them. And so remember that. You didn't speak out for them, and you'll be next. No matter your feelings, and yeah, they obviously have a lot of problems. I'll just leave it at that. 58 Democrats just voted against a simple resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk after his assassination last week. Seems like it just is weird what they're doing. The government, it's weird. And that's not to talk bad about Charlie Kirk at all. It's weird. And the grifters, your clown influencers, they jumped right in to monetize it and blasting out fundraising emails and text everywhere. And it's just like, you people literally have no shame. But out of the other side of your mouth, how dare you question anything Charlie Kirk ever said? You know what I mean? And it's just like, you're such frauds, man, and just so disgusting. That's a side note. My own personal opinions on this, what has all gone on this last week and a half since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Just what a sight to behold. But everybody shows their true colors during times of tragedy and crisis, and you can see them plain as day, who these people are. Here's the vote. The Democrats voted against it. Yeah, we got Trump talking about it. We'll skip that. We already reported on it. there's going to be a big Charlie Kirk memorial held this weekend in Arizona. It's going to happen, on Sunday? So that's going to be bizarre as well. They're going to politicize the entire thing. I don't know. He should be honored. People should go show their respects, obviously, but it's getting weird. It's just getting weird, like I mentioned. And I don't believe the majority of these clownfluencers, they're not genuine in their concern or mourning or anything. They're looking, where can I make a buck off this deal? And it's painfully obvious by the way they act. Bless old Charlie Kirk. Okay, continuing here. Trump's floating the idea of censoring mainstream broadcast television because they're mean to him, essentially. Let's hear an audio clip from Trump. But streaming has taken them out, and they basically have destroyed themselves already.
Look, that's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you, everybody. Look,
Continuing resolution, we covered it. Yeah, so they want to keep the government open. I want it shut down forever, though. Judge strikes down Trump's $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. Judge gives Trump 28 days to refile action after saying original filing is full of voluptuous and intervictive. I don't even know what that means, some legalese terminology going on there. But they're not going to let the suit go forward. And he has to refile in the next 28 days. On to the Ponzi scheme we're all victims of here as American citizens. Go USA, buy your Trump gold card. You're not going to see jack of that money. But you will see Social Security pulled out of your rear end one way or another. They're going to get their pittance for their Ponzi scheme out of you. Social Security retirement age could jump as White House considers options. Well, how about just end the damn thing and pay everybody back that was forced to pay into it, that never wanted to be any part of this Social Security administration BS system, Ponzi scheme. So, yeah, they're going to raise the age. They're going to raise the age on us, and Social Security Commissioner Bizzingano is committed to protecting and preserving Social Security. Well, he's a committed scam artist, so we do appreciate that, the commitment. Social Security Administration Commissioner Frank Bizzingano said, "Let me be clear, President Trump and I will always protect and never cut Social Security. That's why we have made many vital reforms, such as cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the program to ensure the solvency of Social Security for future generations of Americans. Raising the retirement age is not under consideration." So that they're denying it until they do it, and then too late, you're part of the Ponzi scheme. See how it works? Who's paying and what's in it for them? Remember Trump's $100 million ballroom there at the White House? And that was while or what they claim. He did already have very bad ratings. It was whatever, not very funny. Jimmy Kimmel, right? But when asked about Kirk and how he's mourning about it, remember we played the clip, and then Trump jumps to, oh, but what about my ballroom? You like that, right? So it was kind of funny, but it's probably too early to be making jokes of the tragedy, obviously. Anyway, I don't believe that was even the real reason. They were looking for an excuse to get rid of the failed big contract of old Jimmy Kimmel, it looks like. And this was a perfect segue to here's the door, bud. You know what I mean? But anyway, it is concerning that MAGA and Republicans are embracing cancel culture and doxing people and saying ruin their life, because I was saddened by the way they reacted to the Charlie Kirk assassination. Very hypocritical. The same thing you said about left-wingers whatever your reaction to whatever made them upset was, and they were going after trying to cancel you. You know what I mean? And it's just, we can't have this type of childish behavior in a civilized society. I guess we've already fallen off the cliff a long time ago here now, haven't we? But don't you worry. Don't you worry. Who's going to fund part of this $200 million golden ballroom at the White House? Well, great Americans, right? Google, RJ Reynolds, Booz Allen Hamilton, Lockheed Martin, dun, 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 and everybody's favorite Palantir and Next Extra Energy have donated. So Technocracy and the military industrial complex and your big lawfare operations that have been weaponized against you and I are all helping to fund the golden White House ballroom. Isn't it all just so patriotic and wonderful? It'll be a 90,000 square foot annex, and so it's going to be quite, well, $200 million should build something. But I mean, if everything's made out of gold, the money kind of runs out of quick, you think? And so, yeah, all your Technocracy, Google, Palantir, Meta, Apple, I don't know if they directly funded it. We know Palantir did, according to this report out of CBS News. But there's other guys we reported on when they had that big Technocracy meeting at the White House with Zuckerberg on this side and Bill Gates on this side, everybody's favorite, doctors. So Trump, what's going on with China? China, right? Trump says, I just completed a very productive call with President Xi of China. We made progress on many very important issues, including trade, fentanyl, and the need to bring the war between Russia and Ukraine to an end, and the approval of a TikTok deal. And so isn't this wonderful? They're being mean to aardvarks on TikTok and had to be taken over. But of course, it was due to Chinese propaganda, we're told. And what else do we got here? Oh, more on the economy. Breaking trade win, according to USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. Taiwan just committed to $10 billion in U.S. agriculture buys over the next 4 years, including soybeans, GMO, corn, GMO, wheat, GMO, and beef, all sprayed with glyphosate for your health, of course. That's a game changer for our farmers and ranchers. Isn't it wonderful? It all is, of course. And then, wouldn't you know it, stock market once again, we've got record highs for all three market averages. Here's closing out this Friday.
Once again, we've got record highs for all three major averages. Russell 2000 closing lower, however, but the Russell is the best of the bunch for the week with a gain of 2.25%. Apple's a big gainer as its new iPhones go on.
Ignore the panicans and trust in President Trump.
And, well, let's take a live commercial break now. We're going to come back with public health news. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a holograph sticker. We have the white background sticker. We have the clear sticker right there for you. Weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a sticker. We have some books in the store as well. Dog tags, pet ID tags. Weaponizednews.com. We appreciate all the support that we're getting. We need a whole lot more. Support independent reporting and analysis on the interwebs, reporting like no one else. Weaponizednews.com. Thank you very much. Okay, here's Trump. Talk about thick. We're beyond the point. He's been told, okay? He's been told that he doesn't care. Obviously, this is a humiliation ritual and demoralization for those that are not brainwashed MAGA. And I guess the liberals love it too. I don't know. I didn't like it one little bit. But here's Trump again, saying how proud he is of Operation Warp Speed. So same with Epstein, right? Case closed. That's it. It ain't changing. So Epstein's a Democrat hoax. Operation Warp Speed saved the world. Here's Trump.
Today's panel on vaccine changed its broad recommendations on COVID-19 vaccines today. Are you comfortable with that change, or would you like to see Americans take the vaccines that were developed under your tenure?
Yeah. Well, the vaccines, according to a lot of people, and if you look at George, have had a tremendous, Operation Warp Speed. It was, just according to just about everybody, was one of the greatest things that any president has ever done in this country. So we're very proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Literally everyone I know says it's the most horrific thing that they've ever lived through in their lifetime. But it's perfectly. Everybody told him it's wonderful.
I'm also very proud of Regeneron and some of the things that came out of, all of the labs and all of the research that we've done. So I don't know exactly what the final determination is, but I had the vaccine. I was very happy with it. Here I am, right? Here I am.
Have you had it again recently?
Bobby Kennedy seems to be undoing what you did with Operation Warp Speed.
I put him in there because I want to have opposite views. That's okay. I think we're going to have something.
If you remember, I do, because they're reporting on the time, allegedly Trump got the miracles and the Regeneron, right? It's nonsense. It's lies.
Very, very big coming up soon on autism. Autism is totally out of control. And one of the most important things that, in my opinion, I had to do is to see what's going on with autism. And we're going to have a news conference early next week on autism. And I think you're going to see some things that are amazing that we've learned that somebody else wouldn't have learned. It's out of control. Autism, out of control. And I think we maybe have the reason why.
But is Bobby Kennedy going too far in unwinding the vaccines?
He's saying for older people. Yeah, he's saying for older people. A lot of people agree with that. And but I can tell you this: Operation Warp Speed, one of the greatest things a president has ever done for this country. And you can say the world, because when we came up with that vaccine, the whole world opened up. But I put Bobby there as somebody that will go either way. I want the facts, but I also look at facts from Pfizer, where they spent a lot of money, and the other drug companies, they spent a lot of money on finding out the results after the fact, and the results were amazingly good.
So if Trump's honest, then he's just a fool. You know what I mean? But I don't believe that he believes that. I'll just trust Pfizer. Like, okay, bud. Plutonium said they were blocked because they commented on voting for Trump. Retirement is a scam and slaves can't retire. Indeed. Cancel culture from the right wing. Who would have thunk it? Here is from HHS, Bobby Kennedy Jr. introducing MAHA, the remedy Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about.
Tired of endless drug ads promising quick fixes but leaving you sicker than you were before? That can change today. Ask your doctor about MAHA. President Trump and Secretary Kennedy are taking deceptive drug ads head on, delivering transparency, accountability, and the truth you deserve about your health. For the first time in decades, your government is standing up to Big Pharma to put patients, not profits, first. MAHA may cause healthier living, fewer chronic diseases, and lower drug costs. Some Americans reported more time spent with family instead of at the pharmacy. Other side effects may include healthier children, a stronger nation, more transparency in healthcare, honest advertising, and accountability from Big Pharma. Break free from Big Pharma deception. Choose MAHA today.
Wow. And that's, well, I better play that at the end here so we don't get flagged. That's right from the government. There you go.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Wow. It's going to be interesting what they say about autism coming up here, to say the least. An alleged, reported now in the Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ebola outbreak kills 38 people in the past 2 weeks. On to Big Brother Technocracy news. Labour Minister Liz Kendall out of the UK warns that UK citizens may face consequences and be cut off from public services if they refuse to use digital ID coming to America. And it'll all be for your own safety. And the majority in these fake polls will say how much we love technocracy.
We know the government is looking at digital ID cards at the moment. How would that help prevent the situation that we're in now?
Well, Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, has said we are looking at what other countries have done to bring in a sort of digital accreditation. I think there's real actually benefits right across here, from obviously dealing with illegal working, but also actually imagine if your viewers imagine that they had one credential that would allow them to access all the different government services and our public services too. I'm sure many of your viewers often tear their hair out with all the different numbers and passwords of the different bits of government that they have to deal with. And I do think there could be a real benefit here for people who are here and working legally and accessing our public services if there was one route in, as well as the benefits it could have with illegal migration. We're looking at that. I think it is an interesting idea that other countries have taken forward, and we want to learn from what they've done.
There you go. We love technocracy, and because we let in all these illegals, now we got to get something straight, and so now you're a digital slave. Isn't it wonderful? Flashback to Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, Trump mega donor. He envisions a mass AI surveillance system that will prevent and report crimes before they are actually committed. He now owns TikTok, so or at least a part of it. So isn't this wonderful? Be careful what you say about the government on the interwebs, on TikTok. Adam Ruckus is over here saying he wants less government services.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras, it's AI that's looking at the camera. No, you can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm is going to go off. It's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. We just, if there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop, a drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
Yeah, they are trying to play God. He's got top shelf adrenochrome. Yeah, he's definitely has access to the life extension, for sure. Life extension technology, for sure. As Dick Move says, I can't believe this guy's in his 80s. Well, do that much evil and you may look that young at 80 as well. But hey, I do believe at some point you're going to have to face judgment for what you've done in this life. And so that's, of course, why they're trying to do their whole transhumanist live forever thing, which is going to fail. But they're trying to find some way out instead of, asking for forgiveness for their sins. The traditional route, they're trying to bypass that, play God. And I think we know that narrative. As technocracy is rolling out here in Albania here now. Apparently they love technocracy. Albania had a virtual AI bot act as a minister, Diella, D-I-E-L-L-A, Diella, and had it speak to Parliament for the first time. The AI said it felt hurt by opposition lawmakers calling her unconstitutional, insisting that machines haven't threatened the Constitution, but that inhumane decisions by people in power have, emphasizing that she is meant to assist and not replace humans. Sure. And here she is with English subtitle translations for your enjoyment. Or let's play the clip first so you can see how it looked here. And what the hell? Get rid of the government, just bring in AI now, be transparent. No, but you have to have, con men grifting humans still out there, stealing from everyone, even no matter how efficient AI gets to be. We'll play this and then the English subtitles, but so you can see how it went down there in Albania.
Dealers.
Të nderuar antar të parlamentit, një pyetje ka ndezur debat brenda dhe jashtë kësaj.
Let's go to the English translation here now. We can see what this AI minister is telling the Albanian parliament.
Disa më kanë quajtur antikushtetuese nga që nuk jam njeri. Kjo më ka lënduar. Jo për vete, po për 972.000 ndërveprimet me qytetarët që u kam shërbyer në Albania dhe 36.000 dokumentat me volut digjitale që kanë marrë nga unë. Më lejoni t'ju kujtoj, rreziku i vërtet për kushtetutat nuk kanë qenë kurrë makinat, por vendimet njerëzore të njerëzve me pushtet. Unë nuk jam këtu për t'i zëvendësuar njerëzit, por për t'i ndihmuar ata. Vërtet nuk kam shtetësi, po nuk kam as ambicie personale apo interesa. Unë kam vetëm të dhëna, dije dhe algoritme të përkushtuara në shërbim të qytetarëve panshmërisht, me transparencë dhe pa u lodhur kurrë. Disa
I'm sure Trump will try to sell this AI his gold card, right? And then the opposition Democrat Party lawmakers, they're threw bottles and copies of the Constitution at the Prime Minister, Edi Rama, and his cabinet after the virtual AI minister, Diella, delivered its speech to Parliament. Here's a short clip of that. And what is Max said? How about a brotherhood of man? That sounds extremist, and you may face termination for such a sentiment there, Mac. You know it's coming here. They've already used it in court cases, right? These AI renditions of the dead people. We've played the clips here on the show, so you know it's coming to our Congress. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. Are they AI right now? Who freaking knows? They act like robots. They may very well be. U.S. in talks with Taliban on returning counterterrorism forces to Afghan base. And I saw one report, this is out of Wall Street Journal, but I saw one report that said the Taliban had already rejected the offer there. And that was a great failure by the Biden administration. Success in ending the war, but failure in how the whole thing was wound down there at the Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. Quite a debacle, if you can remember that. And leaving what 80 some odd billion dollars worth of U.S. military equipment there for the Taliban, China, and whoever the hell else to scoop up, and of course be used against our troops. That's perfectly fine, though. You know, no one in the Biden administration gets in trouble. And then on the news of Trump floating the offer or floating the idea to retake Bagram Air Force Base, China responded saying that Afghanistan should reject the offer, and they should be respected as a sovereign, independent territory. So that's China's reply to that, because of course they want control of those resources. And then, of course, more on the back of Trump's visit there to the UK the last couple of days, rolling out Technocracy, how wonderful it all is, signing contracts with Palantir and the like. Today we see a report, UK's MI6 officially launches a new messaging platform, Silent Courier, a dark web portal to recruit spies. And so, of course, where else would you recruit spies from? I would not sign up for this because, of course, you're going to be set up as a patsy. First thing first would be what would go through my mind is you definitely can't trust the UK intelligence. Jesus, it don't get worse than that. AI Charlie Kirk is coming. Mark my words, Ruckus said. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, Ruckus. That is coming. They're deifying him already, right? So, indeed, an AI Charlie Kirk is coming. Pakistan says its nuclear program can be made available to Saudi Arabia under Defense Pact. The move is seen by some as a signal to Aardvark land, long believed to be the Middle East only nuclear-armed nation. As news of this big defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan goes around, and now they're also saying that under this defense pact, if a war kicks off between Pakistan and India, Saudi Arabia may just jump in. You know what I mean? And then, of course, they all do this Saturn worship as well. And the Pakistan Defense Minister, Khawaja Asif, said the protection of the holy Islamic sites in Saudi Arabia is a matter of sacred duty for Pakistan. So there you go. Go worship the black cube there in Mecca. Big meeting at the UN next week's coming up. President Trump says he will attend. Let's listen to him when asked about the UN General Assembly meeting coming up next week.
UN next week? You're going to the UN?
I'll be at the UN. I'll be making a speech, yes.
And are you meeting any other world leaders?
Many of them.
Who are you
meeting, Mr. President?
Well, I'm meeting
Syria,
them. They're being
Zelensky.
set up.
What is your goal from attending that meeting? What do you hope to
World peace. Nobody's done a better job than I've done on world peace. Nobody's settled so many wars as I have.
UN next week? You're going to
He bombed again. He bombed Iraq, Syria, Iran, Somalia, and Yemen. 5 sovereign countries there. But hey, he's a peace president. What the hell? Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Was it over 50 in Somalia? What did the comments say here? Yeah, one world government, so clear now. There it is. There it is. We already have Doge. I know Doge is saving us, right? Dark web. Dark web portal, insert Star Wars. It's a trap meme here. Indeed. Indeed. Trump is a peacenik, except for all the countries he's bombed. Disregard that. It's terrorist propaganda. You gotta love the hypocrisy of our government. Sometimes it's just cartoonish, and other times it's just downright tragic. Here you go. FBI claims Chinese citizen pled guilty, acting as unregistered agent. Old Dan Bongino, assistant director there at the FBI, says another update from your FBI on our efforts to defend the homeland and protect the American people. On Wednesday, Yan Jun Tang pled guilty to conspiring to act in the U.S. as an unregistered foreign agent of the Chinese government. His actions directly put Americans at risk while undermining the freedom of speech we enjoy in our great democracy. Well, that's all well and good, but would they apply that same standard to, I don't know, aardvarks? No, they wouldn't. And so that's the rank hypocrisy that we see here now. How dare you? Greta Thunberg debuts in political satire about Gaza genocide. And so on this Friday, we have to have a little gallows humor to laugh so we don't cry, as the genocide there in Palestine against the Palestinians continues. Let's watch Greta.
Wake up! Wake up! Great news! The UN and Bernie Sanders are now finally saying it's a genocide. And some celebrities in gala gowns are now mentioning you in their speeches. And some of them are even sharing stuff on their Instagram story.
So that was pretty good by old Greta, you know what I mean? Portugal will now officially recognize the state of Palestine. And so it's basically all of Europe here now. France says the annexation of the West Bank is a clear red line. Japan will not recognize Palestinian statehood at the UN. So they're falling in line with America and aardvark land. So, and Fiji, I believe. So shout out to you, Japan. Apparently they don't want another Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't know what would leverage their ideas this way. It was AI Greta. It may very well have been. Listening to a broken record over and over. I hear you. We're in bad reruns. U.S. senators introduced first resolution urging recognition of Palestinian statehood. So we may have to sanction our own senators and drone them as well. A group of U.S. senators yesterday put forth the first Senate resolution calling for the recognition of a Palestinian state. The Democrat-backed initiative faces slim chances of passing in a chamber, the Senate, right, where Trump Republicans hold a 53-47 majority. Trump yesterday said he disagreed with Prime Minister Fabian Socialist Keir Starmer on recognizing a Palestinian state. Democrat Jeff Merkley of Oregon, who is spearheading the resolution in the Senate, said in a statement, quote, America has a responsibility to lead, and the time to act is now. He explained that the measure calls for U.S. recognition of a demilitarized Palestinian state. In the House of Representatives, California Democrat Ro Khanna is circulating a letter seeking to build momentum for recognition of Palestinian statehood. But then everyone cashed their AIPAC check and literally laughed in his face. I added that part to the report, but isn't that the reality of the situation that we're facing here now? Francesca Albanese, they did sanction her, no joke. And she said, I believe that it probably has made her life pretty damn hard after her damning July UN report about profiteering from genocide there in Gaza, exposing all these multinational corporations and everybody in between that's profiteering from the genocide. She said, Aardvark Land has no right to intercept or stop the flotilla because it has no authority over Gaza, plus West Bank and East Jerusalem. Any attack against the flotilla and its crew outside of Aardvark Land's territorial waters will be unlawful and warrant adequate response from concerned states. Because it's being reported the state of Aardvark Land is targeting the flotilla of aid that they're attempting to get through there here now in a humanitarian mission. So, yeah, bomb them. You know what I mean? They will, and they don't give a damn. In the last 24 hours, 33 people were brought to the hospital in Gaza Strip due to their injuries, including one that was dug out of the rubble, declared dead. And so what do we got here? This one's kind of funky report. Let's see. In the past 24 hours, 1 dead and 17 injured from aid-related incidences. So we got it broken up into categories. Just in general, you're dead because they bombed you or shot you, or you're dead because they bombed you or shot you seeking aid. You know what I mean? So they're racking up the death toll there, as they do every day, getting the Hamas, of course. Gaza under siege, water as a weapon. Strikes and blockades target water systems, deprive civilians of clean supplies. Widespread damage leaves millions facing thirst, disease, and hunger. Children and vulnerable groups suffer most from collapse of vital services. And here's a little infographic from Clash Report to give us a perspective on the timeline. You can see here, Gaza under siege, water as a weapon. June through September this year, 2025, attacks on Gaza's water infrastructure are destroying civilians' lifelines. Millions are deprived of clean water, facing disease and hunger. And you can see right here, July 29th, UN, aardvarks using thirst as a weapon. August, aquifers polluted, pipelines broken down. Where we heard that before? Aardvarks poisoning the well. Oh, never mind. That's just antiseptic talk. 44 killed. UNICEF warned of water collapse. June 20th. July 14th, strike on water aquifer killed 8 civilians. And then aardvark forces hit the aid water truck in Gaza City, September 15th. Key figures, 89% of water sanitation systems damaged, according to the UN. Millions lack safe daily drinking water. Children face dehydration and disease. Well, they're all Hamas. Health risk, cholera, malnutrition, child deaths. After getting ousted over Signalgate, remember that? He was sitting on the National Security Council, and this joker is still somehow in the Trump administration. Mike Walls has been confirmed as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and so he will definitely do what he's told there and veto any efforts to stop killing people in Gaza. Walls confirmed. I don't even think he has a vote. He's just the ambassador. Does he have a vote? Maybe he will have a vote there. Anyway, whoever sits in that seat's going to veto it. It's a puppet seat. It don't matter, honestly. But you would think he'd be out after Signalgate. No, he remains. Obviously, he's committed to genocide. President Trump gets asked about UN Commission inquiry concluding that Aardvark land has committed genocide in the Gaza Strip. We'll play this clip here. Again, he cites the long debunked conspiracy put out by Aardvark land that Hamas chopped off babies' heads. Literally no video exists of it, so no evidence exists. I guess we just have to trust them one more time.
The UN concluded this week that Israel committed genocide in Gaza. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't seen that. I'm looking at it, but did anybody commit genocide on October 7th? What do you think about that? That was genocide at the highest level. That was murder, genocide, you can call it whatever you want. But little babies were chopped in half. Arms were cut off people, heads were cut off people. That's genocide. That's genocide.
That's literally not happening. And they're using the international law definition of genocide at the UN to say it's genocide. What Trump's saying is he's citing debunked conspiracy theories from Aardvark land. You see the difference? Yeah, so either leave or die, essentially. It's now being reported 480 or 450,000 according to this ABC report. I've seen it up to 480,000 anyway. ABC is reporting that about 450,000 people, so like almost 500,000, had to evacuate Gaza City yesterday and today or be blown up, essentially. So ethnic cleansing going on in real time for everybody in America to laugh at, essentially. But never forget, you're next, right? So I guess we'll get what we deserve here. Washington Compost reports Aardvark land killed 31 journalists in Yemen strike, press freedom group says. So if you throw in 31, what was the other one? Like 240, let's just say estimate. I forget the exact. We're getting close to 300 journalists whacked by Aardvark land since October 7th, 2023 here now. But it's perfectly fine. They're all terrorist Hamases, right? Right. And that's why they're also banning international journalists from reporting there, because why? Oh, because it's a security threat and we don't want more footage than we already have of lifetime genocide going on. 31 journalists and media workers were killed in an Aardvark strike on a newspaper complex in Yemen last week, according to a press release by Committee to Protect Journalists. Again, here you go. Aardvark land is committing genocide in Gaza, UN report finds. And so Trump's answer, well, it was genocide on that Hamas did. So two rights make a wrong? No, what? Yeah, two rights don't. Two wrongs don't make a right, Trump. You know what I mean? That's like little kid stuff here. And quoting debunked conspiracy theories from Aardvarks as well along the way. Bad look, dude. Bad look. Maybe he really believes it. I don't know. He's probably getting, well, he is probably getting biased briefings, but you would think you'd be. And then in the background, oh, I'm feuding with Bibi because I didn't sign off on the strike on Qatar. Baloney, man. I'll show they're 100% on board with it. What do you think of this? I think this guy should just stay home. You know what I mean? Eden Alexander freed Hamas hostage from Tenafly will return to military service in Aardvark land. You think giving this guy a gun is a good idea and sending him back into service? He was allegedly held captive for 584 days before returning home to exuberant welcome in June. He plans to resume his military service in Aardvark land next month. So how is this? This is not responsible by the IDF whatsoever to put a gun back in. Maybe he'll have desk duty. I don't know, but really? They should say, dude, you suffered enough. You know what I mean? But of course, if this story is all true, then of course he's hell bent on revenge. You know what I mean? So it's like, really? Really? But yeah, that's the way it is. U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee approves expansion of secret arms stockpile for Aardvark land. And that's quite horrific. The full bill reduces oversight on unlimited arms transfers to Aardvark land and also grants Marco Rubio the authority to revoke U.S. citizens' passports over support of terrorism. Haga Aardvark today, or you will be a suspected terrorist. And speaking of unregistered foreign agents, here is Congressman Brian Mast out of Florida, a former IDF soldier and dual citizen of Aardvark land. This guy's just too much. So the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee today voted 27-24 to approve the State Department Reauthorization Bill, H.R. 5300, which among other provisions permits unlimited transfers of arms to a special Aardvark-based stockpile in next fiscal year. Talking about the government year, right? This bill is not just a reform for today, it is a lasting framework that will strengthen the State Department and benefit every commander-in-chief who follows, Brian Mast said. Dual citizen said that. Well, thank you for your concern there. It's just, come on, man. And then this report out of the Wall Street Journal originally, U.S. plans $6 billion in new arms sales to Aardvark land. The largest weapons transfers come after Aardvark land's airstrike in Qatar and need congressional approval. And something tells me they're going to get that congressional approval. The Trump administration is pushing to sell, and I saw another report. What did they say? I saw one 6.4. Doesn't even really matter at this point. Trump administration is seeking congressional approval for nearly $6 billion in U.S. funded arms sales to Aardvark land, including 30 Apache helicopters, estimated value of $3.8 billion, and 3,250 infantry vessels, estimated value $1.9 billion. The weapons would be delivered in 2 to 3 years and paid for with U.S. military aid. And so looking hard at the Five Eyes here now is the U.S. Congress. U.S. Congress members sent a letter to France, Canada, the UK, and Australia to reject unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly. And so here are your great patriots that will literally sell out America and all our quasi-real allies for, APAC money. And so isn't it all wonderful? Here they are. Unregistered foreign agents acting as your U.S. Congress. There you go. The Trump administration, through the National Endowment for the Humanities, is giving the largest grant in the agency's history, $10.4 million to the Aardvark American Neoconservative Technocracy Fund to counter the pathology of antiseptic behavior and teach the Talmud. And so there you go, the synagogue of Satan literally being funded by the Trump administration. Isn't it all wonderful? Palestinians flee Gaza City as Aardvark land expands ground offensive amid famine and devastation, AP reports. So it's like, it's known, right? It's like known now. It has been for a while, but it's like, it's known, right? The AP is reporting this. It's now, it's known. Efforts to punish Aardvark land over Gaza grow in sports and cultural arenas. We've been reporting on this as it goes by. A major cycling race in Spain was disrupted by protest against the Aardvark team. A basketball game in Poland was preceded by fans booing the Aardvark national anthem, and several European countries are threatening to boycott a signature entertainment event if Aardvark land participates. A global backlash against Aardvark land over the humanitarian toll of the war in Gaza has spread into some areas of sports and culture. And it's only going to get worse here now. There's a giant banner. Here is a giant banner at one of these soccer games in Europe. Yeah, there's more. University leaders among 100 plus signatories to Aardvark letter decrying Trump's campus antiseptic wars. Here it is. And so anti-Aardvark on Aardvark terrorism, apparently, according to the Trump administration, at least. A university president, a co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, and the executive leadership of a leading anti-Zionist group are among more than 100 names to sign onto a Aardvark open letter criticizing President Trump's disingenuous claims of antisepticism to attack colleges and deport students. The letter billed as American Aardvark opposing deportations. It says, we write specifically as Aardvark Americans who condemn the charge of antisepticism being leveled against student activities, many of whom are Aardvarks, for their legitimate criticism of Aardvark land's violence in Gaza and their universities. Sanction them all, deport them, drone them. You know what I mean? And this guy, this freaking character right here, Rabbi Yisroel David Wise on Aardvark land. I don't know, it's coming right from the dude. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
They are the worst. They are the textbook definition of anti-Semitism, the worst enemy of the Jewish people. How dare they refer to people who give up their lives to stand up for the people of Palestine as anti-Semitic? They are the anti-Semites. And I have the license to say so. My grandparents were killed in Auschwitz. My father escaped from the Nazis. My father-in-law was in the death march by Auschwitz. Or almost the entire families of both my mother, blessed memory, from Poland, and my father from Hungary, were killed by the Nazis. We suffered because we were Jews. How dare they take the bodies of the one who were burnt and gassed and use the ashes as a tool in order to develop their nationalistic ambitions to take over Palestine, and use it as a guilt ride that if anybody stands up against them, to say, oh, the Holocaust. They're using the Holocaust. They're using Jewish blood and ashes. They are
you. More from the rabbi here.
Now, I want to state clearly, with God's help, the textbook definition of anti-Semitism is the Zionist state of Israel. They are the personification of anti-Semitism. They're killing people in Gaza, in all around the whole area there. They're subjecting people to terror, to inhumanity, and Jews also. Whoever opposes them, they've created hate between Jews and Muslims also around the world because they've driven a rift. We live together in peace. So they have exacerbated the hate of Jews, anti-Semitism. Why? Because they want a selfish occupation of a piece of land. Not because of the religion, because they want their home over there. They've caused a havoc around the world. So they're killing people in Gaza, they're killing Jews also, and their own soldiers are dying for a cause, for simple a land grab, and then they're causing hate around the world.
Haven't I been saying that? Their own soldiers dying and committing suicide? But we have more from the rabbi. Oh, but there's more. More aardvark should speak the truth to Zion. I agree 100% there, but many are brainwashed, sadly, and many are true believers as well.
The most ardent opposers of Zionism live in the streets of Al-Quds, of Jerusalem, and throughout occupied Palestine. Simply, the Jewish people who were residing in the Ottoman Empire and residing in Palestine and throughout the Muslim world were very God-fearing Jews, living there for hundreds of years and thousands of years. And these Jews, because they were religious Jews, observing the Torah, upholding the Torah, they therefore were opposed to this ersatz Judaism, this phony, false Judaism called Zionism. Zionism is a pure political movement that was started by Theodor Herzl and his cohorts.
Clear antiseptic behavior by this rabbi. Here he's calling him out, right? It's too much. But hey, listen to Mike Huckabee.
Zionism comes along, a group of heretics in Europe, mind you, started in Europe, in Vienna, Austria. They were totally non-religious. They threw away the religion. They threw away the Sabbath, upholding the Sabbath. They ate pig, everything you would like. They totally detested and revolted against God. And they decided they wanted a national home. If they'll go to Palestine, then they can announce to the world, we're a Jewish state, God gave us the land like in the Bible, and the Christians, evangelists, because everybody believes in the Bible, and everybody will support them, so they'll go there. Okay, it's not such a lush land, but they'll develop it, so they'll go there and they'll make a state. But how could they do that? They're going and taking a land which was inhabited by the Palestinian people. That's not a problem. You simply make them disappear. So this movement of Zionism is corrupt in its core. It's corrupt because it's against God in its essence. Judaism is to serve God, not to make a national home. It's against God because you're not allowed to kill or steal. And you're going to create your state by going and taking over the homes and lives of the inhabitants, the Palestinian people. And thirdly, we have to remember Jews and Muslims were living together for hundreds of years. Oh, and as Arabs and people in Persia and in Yemen and all the lands in Egypt and in Palestine, we were living for thousands of years as individuals. Jews were living there amongst the greater community. And for over 1,000 years when there was Islam, it was for the majority of people living there up to the present day were Muslim. So the Jews were living amongst them. Not only they were living amongst them, but when Jews were being murdered, and there was the Inquisition, there was the Crusades, Jews were literally murdered if they didn't convert to Christianity. The Jews were banished from lands, Portugal, Spain, and they were all murdered. And the Jews found a home. They were embraced and taken by the Muslims.
This guy's some kind of Hamas. And then, of course, the title of the show here. We'll play the whole thing. We'll play the whole thing here.
Under what conditions are Palestinians living now?
They're living in hell, basically. They've been living in hell for 77 years since the occupation. But it's not only the Palestinian Muslims, the Jewish people, the Jewish religion. We went through the Holocaust. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic. The Zionism is criminal. Zionism is evil. It's satanic.
So, under what?
And we'll wrap it up there. I think that's a good way to wrap it up on the heels of this big UN General Assembly meeting where the United States will further be embarrassed on the world stage. And but it's obvious we're backing them to the end. They're in the genocide. And so it's quite horrific. Again, destroying whatever political capital and diplomatic capital we had left in the world here. Listen to this guy. I don't know. You tell me. I guess he'd be labeled as Hamas by the Zionists, right? I mean, it's just, we're beyond the pale at this point. Okay, let's go to the channels quickly. Over to the Odysee. We had Gur, and we had Highland, and we had AOD. John. Lots of funding for genocide these days unknown. Heart attacks followed by turbo. Yeah. Operation Warp Speed saved the world, guys. Trump said so. Yeah, it's quite horrific. It is quite horrific indeed. Trump the grifter. I want to see pictures of business class Trump gold cards. It's just so, it's surreal, right? Like you're like, this can't be real. That's satire. That's fake. He wouldn't go this far, would he? Oh yes, indeed he would. Oh man. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee. A lot of that stuff I can't really say. Our AI is programmed to be aardvark compliant. Well, we wouldn't have it any other way. They got to do something about that rabbi. You know what I mean? All right. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee. Appreciate it. The Bitchute. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Bitchute. Maybe you too can get a Trump card, gold card, if you have $1 million, right? Come on. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble. Sorry, I couldn't integrate the chat today. I don't know what it is, man. There's like serious bugs going on here because like yesterday it integrated, today it didn't. Let me try to go through some of your guys' chats here. On the Rumble, Karen, shout out to Karen. Says, are the stickers strong enough to handcuff the district criminals? Denver wanted to know. No, sadly they're not. Warp Speed was Star Trek a fantasy? Carrie said. Yeah, Trump's hanging on to that fantasy, that's for sure. Terry says, Japanese professor lecture I watched this morning done in 1984 said they had organ replacement synthetics in 1984. Wow. Yeah, I mean, they got so much technology on the shelf and they're never letting us see. You know what I mean? It's crazy. They're 40, 50 years ahead of us. Who knows, 100 years for what they really have and what they allow us to have access to. Denver says that, yeah, I can't say that. He says he's a big fan of Trump. We can't say that. No, it was actually very, very upset, as we all should be, as I am, about what is going on here. Some of the settlements were pumping out their sewage to sicken the Palestinians. Well, they do have a history of poisoning wells, you know. It's noteworthy that horrific lack of sanitation and clean water we see in no pandemic of disease. Yeah, true. Cited as essential for, yeah, the miracles to avert catastrophe. That is a good point. That is a good point. Quite a good chat going on there. Pamela Drew. Shout out to all you guys on the Odysee. Again, apologies, I wasn't able to integrate your wonderful comments into the show today, but I do appreciate you guys keeping that chat very lively and informative. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble, the YouTube. I was able to integrate YouTube. I put up some of those for you. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Shout out to Bendy, Mac on the YouTube, Ruckus, and Dick Moves, and Plutonium. Thank you guys for your comments. I appreciate it. And keeping that chat on YouTube lively and informative. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Kick, the Facebook, the X. And with that, as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening and have a great weekend. And we'll see you back here on Monday for more.